call of the members, please.
Mr. Jeter, District 1.
Here.
Ms. Glover, District 2.
Here.
Mr. Skee, District 3.
Here.
Mr. Bricky, District 4.
Here.
Mr. Castile, District 5.
Here.
Mr. Manus, District 6.
Here.
Ms. Kruby, at large. Ms. Addington. Here.
Y'all had a chance to look this week at the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions?
We need to remove item 7B. They will be unable to attend tonight and will be at the March meeting. That's the MECC Promise Program update.
We have a motion that we approve the agenda. Amend the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Mr. Jeter made the motion. Ms. Glover seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? You have a chance also to look at the minutes. Any corrections for the minutes? Need a motion for the approval of minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Ms. Glover made the motion. Second. You second.
I'll second.
Ms. Addington seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Now our citizen expression period. I've got some things I need to read here before the citizens expression period. Citizen expression period is appointing a meeting when anyone who wishes to address the board or staff may do so. If you wish to speak, please come to the podium and state your name, where you're from in the county, and or what organization you represent. The board may or may not respond to anything you say, but we will take everything you say into account when making future decisions. Please keep your comments concise and businesslike. If no one is signed up to speak, we have no particular order. We just ask that you take turns and speak your business. Any action will be considered after we close citizen expression. Citizen expression is now open. Do we have anybody signed up?
We don't.
Okay. Anyone wish to address the board? Ms. Tyson.
I'd like to be first. I'm Peggy Tyson. I'm from Snowflake Road. Y'all moved us closer. I'd like for everybody for Snowflake Road to stand up. Now all dirt roads stand up. Well, this is a little different coming this afternoon versus the morning. And I'm here again about dirt roads. And I want to thank VDOT. From our last meeting, we got gravel. And I know gravel, people think a truckload goes a long way, but it don't go far. But we appreciate all the gravel that we did get, and I appreciate Jeff Wilson for getting back with me after I called about some gravel. And it was like Terry Kilgore said last week in the meeting, that the roads, it takes more money for the terrain here in Scott County. So if it takes more money to get a road paved, I think we should have more money allocated for dirt roads. And all of Scott County people that travel dirt roads, like buses, the mail people, UPS, FedEx, Prime and all that, know how bad the roads are, and we're asking for our roads to be paved. And if you don't ask for anything, you won't get anything. So we're asking for our roads to be paved. We'd like for them to be paved. And then another thing, the 6-year plan has always been a thorn in my side. It works to not get anything done, I think. I think we should maybe try to get another plan put together other than the 6-year plan. And having more, maybe look at more money putting from primary roads that don't need primary work done, work done on the primary road, move it to the rural roads or the dirt roads. And like I say, I'm asking for more money for dirt roads in Scott County. And I've always heard the greasy wheel gets the grease. So, thank you all.
Thank you, Ms. Tyson. We appreciate you coming.
Hello, I'm Laura Bledsoe, and I'm from Scott County, the Snowflake community. And last month, I was really pleased that a few days after the meeting here, a couple of people from VDOT and WISE and from the Fort Blackmore office actually came out to my house and checked out the driveway situation. And basically, we're going to have some money in Scott County, and I guess you guys are our voice, and I just want to say please go and ask for some money for our roads, because my situation will not be fixed unless it's paved. The way that the road is sloped, there's just no fixing it unless you got some money to put some pavement down. So, I just ask that you guys just please go and be our voice in Scott County and get on VDOT a little bit. Because sometimes I think they forget about us a little bit down here. And we have a beautiful place. We have a zoo on Snowflake and people come through. And it's just a shame that they have to deal with the roads. And it's people out of state too. So it just doesn't look good. So I just ask that you be our voice and let them know how we feel. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I'll just say I didn't come prepared to do this today when I left my house, but found out about the meeting. I have a picture I would like to show you of the Gate Road, which is on up from Snowflake. We've had, I'm sorry, I'm Regina Kinsler and I live on the Gate Road. So I'm one of the dirt road people back here. We do appreciate what VDOT has done. During the snow, we had the situation, our road is paved a little bit up and then goes into a dirt road. Getting up that hill is one thing, coming off of that hill is another. Because if we can't get stopped, we're in 71 in a blind curve of people doing 55 plus sometimes. And it's a scary thought to think you can't get stopped. With this picture that I would like for you all to see, and I maybe will have to come closer for you to see this, this has gotten worse within a week. We have a chunk of pavement this big that's just kind of hovering at the bottom of that hill, not counting all of the broken pavement around it. And each day that I've come off that hill in the last few days, it's gotten worse. On the opposite side of that, when you start up our hill onto the Gate Road, the road is breaking down over here. It's getting worse. We have nowhere to go much farther. This road is used as a cut across the lot for people from Big Moccasin. It's also used if there's an accident between that area and down to where J&P or what's known as the junction now. People need a cut across. They need somewhere to go. I myself, this month, last year, on that road, in one of the spots that's not very wide, was involved in a hit and run. My daughter was with me. The gentleman come around the curve. I stopped to back up and give him room. He chose to climb a bank and take the side of my van out with him. Our road needs help. It's gotten worse since the snow. We appreciate the gravel, but we've got big ruts coming down the side now where trucks have went over there in that softness and things, and it's just gotten worse and worse. I'm concerned. Today, we had a big truck to come on our hill. He hit that piece of pavement there, and it's made it worse. If the right thing hits that piece of pavement and slings it into Route 71, somebody's gonna die.
Can you bring that closer, please?
Somebody's gonna get hurt. This is from the road, showing you turning in from either direction.
Yeah, it's bad.
And I'm sure Mr. Skeens knows all about it. But it's just, that's what, we are having to go up the road and turn around at somebody else's property to get a run and go to come up our hill. It is pretty bad. So just please consider that. It's a safety issue. It's not that we want to be special. We just don't want to die. And I thank the good Lord above that I didn't last year. Could have very easily happened. But our road has progressively, daily, in the last few weeks, gotten worse and worse. And it's going to get to a point we can't go across. And if you go the opposite way on Big Moccasin, you're going to a more narrow road with a lot of ruts. Takes you in above the dam and the creek and brings you back out on Big Moccasin. It's not a good option, you know. So I just want to show you that. I have other pictures if anybody needs to see them. I do appreciate everything that you do and VDOT has done for us, but it needs some serious attention.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, who would be on here to see?
This is not a big situation. This right here is just, I don't know what to do. But all of this last week is broken apart in our insurance company.
A business card, don't you?
Is there anyone else that would like to address the board?
Good evening. Hey, Sheriff Jeff, the East Scott County Sheriff's Office. I won't take much of your time. We've got a good crowd here. I want to give you the year-end stats from last year. Didn't get to do it last month because we didn't have them compiled yet. But the Sheriff's Office reports the following activities for the year in stats for 2023. Central Dispatch received a total of 68,118 calls for the year. Of those calls, we were dispatched to 10,705 of those. Domestic calls and protective orders for the year was 198. Criminal papers served this period were 3,761. Of those, it was 1,935 felonies, 1,145 misdemeanors, 319 drug charges, 40 DUI related. Officers also issued 912 traffic summonses, and were dispatched to 390 motor vehicle accidents. Civil process for this period was 4,538 civil papers served. Also, there were 1,587 IVRs, incident-based reports, reported 329 active, marked 65 inactive, and 349 closed arrests. The Sheriff's Office provided 279 hours of courtroom security for 3 courtrooms. Also, the Sheriff's Office conducted 81 traffic checkpoints. Also, Sheriff's Office had 356 out-of-state extradition involving 939 plus hours. 38,718 miles were traveled for out-of-state extraditions. Year-to-date total extraditions is 356. Sheriff's Department provided 61 in-state transports. Also processed 758 concealed gun permits. Also processed 237 fingerprint applications. And deputies unlocked 207 vehicles for that year. And, plus the other little things that can't be compiled on.
That's a bunch.
It's a lot. They're busy and they do a good job, but we do the best we can, and that's what we want. So, any other questions or anything I can answer for you?
Appreciate you. Thanks a lot.
Thank
guys.
you.
Anyone else want to address the board?
My name's Harold Lane. I live on High Knob Road, Scott County. And we need something done. I've been trying since August, trying to get something done to our road. And the only place they put gravel in front of the horse riding outfit up there. They put 2 loads of gravel on it the other day. They keep it just smooth as top. And we can't even take eggs home. That's how bad our road is. It's washed out. I know, I'm not asking to get it blacktop. We just like to get it graded. I've been up there 22 years, and this is the worst I've ever seen. I mean, they do. And if it rains Friday, I had to pull people out when I get home. Matt Baker was here, investigator. He helped me pull one out the other night before I get home. And that's how bad it is. And I asked for a load of gravel, never did get it. I even called 911 and asked for it. And they called and they said, we never did get it, never could get it.
Okay. Mr. Allen Sumter's here with VDOT in a few minutes, and
Okay.
he's hearing you.
Okay, that's all I got to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, I'm Gary Baker from Boozy Creek Community. I was here last month asking you all to please get VDOT to come up there and clean out the side ditches and the culverts. And after the big snow and everything, we've had so many trees fell down, and I know they've not got much help. I feel sorry for them, but all they do is take a backhoe and push the trees out of the road, and they're laying along the banks and so on and so forth. And without those culverts and lines being cleaned out, we've got one place up there where the waters are going up under the road, and it's going to eat the road out. Got one place where I think Michelle's seen it, where it's falling off the edge of the bank, and if it falls off, it's going to close that whole road. And appreciate you all getting VDOT here if you did. I think you ought to at least write a letter every week to the Department of Transportation, Secretary or Governor or whoever that needs to be done. I mean, Scott County's getting in bad shape, and I know that they can clean. EPA ain't got a thing to do with them culverts and ditch lines, because Tennessee cleans theirs out. I know that for a fact. And one other thing I wanted to bring up is our trash dumpsters. Can we not get them things open 24/7 like they was back in the old days? And I feel sorry for those people with the dirt roads too. We had them for years and years and years, and wouldn't have been for Virgil Sampson and Bill Jones, we'd have never got our roads paved up there. So you guys just step up to the plate, pour it to VDOT. That's all I can tell you. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Anyone else? Public expression? Okay, we'll close public expression and move on to new business and the agenda. We have an audit presentation by Mr. Ron Boston.
Good afternoon. Once again, we have completed the audit of Scott County, and it's a clean audit. No problems that we found. There are some things that I wanted to bring to your attention as you look at the audit report. One is that this is a total report for the county as a whole. So we're talking about component units also. So this report includes the government, the schools, the EDA, and the PSA within this report. On page if you turn to page 115, this is the breakdown of your revenues and expenditures, the pages that follow. This is on the fund balance, which is how a government keeps their books, is on a government fund type deal. This lists all the revenue that comes in and the sources of that revenue. If you look at, you'll see in those statements, you'll say local funds, you know, and all these different categories. So the Scott County had $32 million of local funds. Now that includes taxes, it includes the school, includes the school activity funds, all of the different ways that funds come into the county that from the local people. That is 32 million, rounded up. I mean, I'm rounding off. The Commonwealth provided $53,891 for you. And the federal government provided $11,613,000. And so the total amount of revenue that you took in was $102 million. And that's what you operated last year as were responsible for that $102 million. I think you do a good job at that. And this year, both the school and the general government had a surplus that you took in more money than you spent. And so that is good because your fund balance was getting down where you had used it before. And so for this past year, your fund balance went up $3,948,000. A lot of that came from federal money that you had on hand that you hadn't spent before. Now those those pages that you were looking at, first is the revenue. There are 5 pages for revenue, and then there are 5 pages for expenditures, and it gives you the expenditures by category 2 from where you spent that $102 million. Another interesting thing, I know that these are so enjoyable to read that you'll go home and be reading them all night long, but just in case you have some opportunity to look around on these statements, the back of the statements, beginning at 131, gives some comparison from year to year. So on page 131 is the schedule of expenses for the last 10 years. And it's got another category where you spent those. And then on the page 132 is the revenues for the past 10 years. And then the next page gives you the operating expenditures by function, which like your general administrative, your judicial, public safety, public works. And that's for the past 10 years. And then the next page is revenue by source for the past 10 years. Like your county, your property tax, other local taxes. There's a schedule in there that tells you what those other local taxes are. That's the combined amount of those. So those were on the pages 115, 116. On page 135 is your property tax levies and collections for the past 10 years. Gives you your total tax levy, your collections, your delinquent taxes. Page 136 is your assessed value for your real estate, personal property. And page 137 is your tax rates for the past 10 years. So those are that you can analyze what is comparing 2003 to those past years, and also as you're thinking about your budget for this coming year, those budget figures are in there for those last year, so that you have some type of guide to go by as you're preparing your budget. Any questions? Appreciate having the opportunity to be of service to you. We enjoy Arlington, Scott County. You have a good group of people, a very good group of people.
Thank you. No questions? Thank you, Mr. Boston. We
Thank you.
appreciate you. Next on the agenda, Treasurer Kevin Helms.
Follow that guy. Good evening. Thank you for letting me come in and speak and be on the agenda tonight. It's a funding request for my office. I think you have a letter, each of you have a letter that I had submitted to Ms. Starnes in regard to this excuse me, funding request. The impact to this year's budget would be about $5,000. That could be taken from contingency funds. You know, just being a few weeks in office, I guess I didn't introduce myself, did I? I'm Kevin with the Treasurer's Office of Scott County. Just being in office a few weeks, getting folks hired, being involved with the Treasurers Association again, going to Richmond. I know a lot of you had an opportunity to go to Richmond and meet with legislators, and I appreciate you doing that. It's very important for our county for them to see our presence in Richmond. But the funding request that I have is due to the amount of money that is given by the Compensation Board of Virginia for the two, for all the positions that are funded for constitutional offices. Those two positions that will be filled in the next couple of days. I'm requesting additional money provided by the county to boost the starting pay for those two positions. We are going to start the dog tag program back. That was a program that was in place when I left office before. I think it's kind of fallen by the wayside over the years, and I'll be meeting with the local veterinarians to get that program back in place where the dog tags will be sold at their offices. That it's a convenience for the citizens of the county not to have to come here to just buy a dog tag when they can do that in the offices as they're taking their animals there for the rabies shots. The other big thing, and that's something I campaigned on last year, and I know each of you are familiar with that, is investing our county money. We did a little last year, but it was not enough. By the end of the week, we'll have invested $10 million with the LGIP. It's earning a little over 5.5%. Right now, it's a great rate, and we've got to take advantage of that as long as we can. And right now, cash is king, they say. So we're going to stay aggressive with investing our county money, and that was a campaign promise that I made, and will be fulfilling. Property investment, property and employment liens. That's something that I don't believe this has been utilized effectively over the years. That's something I'm looking at, again, with delinquent taxes. We're talking mainly delinquent taxes, egregiously delinquent taxes. Also, and I've been in touch with Powell Valley Bank on a regular basis, and TACS, that's the law firm that handles our delinquent tax sales and works with taxpayers on real estate. We are getting about $51,000 next week from proceeds from prior auctions and their continued work with delinquent taxpayers. Also want to get involved with the certification program and get deputies involved with that program as well. That's not only going to enhance the knowledge and the skills and make our office a better office than we've had. And I've got deputies that are working for me that are very interested in getting involved with that certification program through the Treasurers Association as well. So it's a great networking opportunity for them to learn what other offices are doing and then learn from the classes that are taught, from the Treasurers Association perspective. So, you have any questions about?
Let me repeat what you said about the LGIP. Now, that's the Local Government Investment Pool.
Yes.
And you have put in $10 million
We'll be wiring that by the end of the week.
for investment for Scott County.
Yes.
At
5.53% today.
5.53%. This money, and correct me if I'm wrong, but this money, anytime we need it, we can get it out the next day or that day.
Yes, it can be wired back. It's not locked into a certain term.
Yes, that's
It can be
great.
wired back to the county.
That's great. Good job.
I'll keep it invested as long as possible, and if we can invest more, and I'm looking at other options. T-bills are paying really well right now. 3-month T-bills are paying really well, over 5%. We just got to take advantage and be aggressive with our investing of cash right now.
We talked to our financial advisors in Richmond this past week, and they were very complimentary of what we had begun. You and Frida had begun, so thanks a lot. Good job. Any other comments?
I did have a question for you. I spoke to you yesterday about the escrow.
Yes.
Did you get a chance to look at that?
I did not. We were working on some ledger things today.
Would you like to just share with people what we talked about?
Yeah. So one thing that I campaigned on and was looking at our tax deadlines for the county. We have a couple of options, I think, that other counties do now. A lot of counties will do twice-a-year billing, and so that means that half your real estate bill will be due in the spring, half in the fall. That's one option that I'd like for the county to look at and us to work together on and study if it's the right fit for us. The other thing is possibly moving our tax deadline to a different day, and I heard that a lot on the campaign in the county, just that November 20th is a tough time for folks to pay taxes with increased bills and holidays right around the corner and things like that. Those were concerns that were brought to me, but a lot of counties already do twice-a-year billing. It would take some time. We'd have to get through this cycle and probably the next tax deadline of next year to be able to implement that. But I think if it works for us, if it works for our county and the citizens, I think it would be a benefit to what we see, especially with delinquent taxes going forward.
The thing we talked about was mortgage payments.
Right.
Escrow of tax payments, which is already being paid in. And what we talked about, can we get that tax money from mortgage payments?
Right. Those tax bills go directly to the mortgage company, and it depends on their particular situation. But as many counties that do it already, I know that we can work it out.
That'd be a sizable amount of
Yes.
money just on that one thing.
Yes.
Will that tax, if you go twice a year, will that be just real estate, or will it be
Real estate.
personal property, machinery and all that?
Personal property will stay once a year, but just the real estate could be broken up in half by half.
Mr. Helms, for the positions you requested extra money for, is there any education requirement for those? Or is it just, what are you searching for?
There's not an education requirement other than working for me in the treasurer's office. My requirements. Yes, sir. And that's to make these positions more competitive. That's my request.
It's correct that it's $5,000 for the rest of this year.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve,
That's
Mr.?
for 2 employees, right?
Right.
To approve this request?
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Skeen, second by Mr. Manus. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the job you're doing.
Thank you.
We have Mr. Alan Sumter from VDOT with us.
Good evening.
How are you?
Met the new board members out here before it started, so I think I know everyone now. Some familiar faces, been over time. So again, I introduced myself. Sure, we've got a lot of people here that don't normally come, and we've been here in the mornings. I'm Alan Sumter. I'm the residency administrator for the Virginia Department of Transportation's WISE office. The structure that we have is that we are set up with residencies and headquarters and counties. In the WISE residency, we manage Lee, Scott, Wise, and Dickinson counties. So we have 4 counties that we manage out of our office. And we have, let's see, 2, 4, 7, around 8 area headquarters that are the maintenance headquarters that work for us in all 4 counties. Approximately 126 employees in the 4 counties that work in various capacities of administrative and office and road functions out on the roadway. Also, we deal with land use. If somebody needs to put an entrance permit in, or if utilities need a permit to install water and sewer lines within our right-of-ways, any work that's within our right-of-way, we also review and approve that through our office as well. So we do take care and manage the day-to-day operations of the maintenance work, also, and the construction work and the land use is essentially our function that we manage out of the WISE office. I know probably you as new board members, the ones that are new here, have had a lot of questions about functions and things of VDOT, and I think that put a request in for us to have another time where that we don't occupy all of your business time to be able to come in and sit down and talk with you about that. And I think we're planning that sometime in April. I believe that we can tentatively attend that and set some things up there on that. So while I'm here tonight, I'm going to try to give an overview of a few things about VDOT, because I can certainly understand some people's questions and frustrations and things about how different things work. So I mentioned to start off with that we function kind of in three areas. So we kind of funded in different areas too. We have funds that are set aside through the Code of Virginia, which is adopted by the General Assembly, signed by the governor, that some of them go back a significant amount of time, and some of them are changes that's been made in recent times. Maintenance. Maintenance is funded specifically through Code of Virginia, what money that we spend on dedicated just only to maintenance. It is set up for us. We get a primary and a secondary budget, and that budget for us in the WISE residency in our 4 counties is around $11.5 million annually. It's the number that we have. We have additionally on top of that about another $4.5 million again, I'm speaking in terms of our 4 counties. $4.5 million is what our snow budget is that we operate as a tentative snow budget, of which this year we're pretty well gone through the majority of that snow budget. So those are the things, the money and the funds that are dedicated, and we are told through the Code of Virginia that we have to use on making maintenance repairs, the pothole patching, the ditching, replacement pipes, paving, mowing grass, cutting trees that cause problems, and that those types of things are paid for out of the maintenance budget. Then the Code of Virginia also explicitly sets aside for the construction of new roadways. That money is set up as well specifically for the construction. Now, to give you just a brief comment here on that is that for me to legally not get myself in trouble and keep my job and pay my daughter's way through college, she's got a little bit of time left, I can't use the construction money to go over here and use it to mow the grass with. Nor can I use the money that I'm given to go mow the grass and patch the potholes to come over and build a gravel road. Those funds are set up specifically, just like a law of, if I could use a comparison of motor vehicle laws. They're written in the code just the same, specifically what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. We also have funds that we have the opportunity to tap into at times for safety. Those funds usually come to us on a kind of a case-by-case basis. A lot of those funds come down through things such as the Federal Highway Administration and things like that, Virginia will be awarded so much money for like intersection improvements, things like that, or kind of guardrail installations, things that will improve the safety aspect. Then there are funds that are out there that are kind of come into, that weren't, I like to think that I'm still not that very old, but I have been around a long time, since 1988. And I've seen a lot of different funds come into play. And during my career, I've seen more and more specialized funding come in place for enhancements, transportation improvements. Contributions that will allow things such as the Crooked Road to receive funding to put waysides and do other things such as kiosks on the sides of the roads. Do things such as, trying to think of another example, sidewalk type of improvements, things like that. So I might add traffic improvements are sometimes can be done within that, and then sometimes traffic improvements such as flashing signals and things of that nature are done through safety money as well. So we have a lot of particular types of money that we draw into, and they're specified through, like, by the Code of Virginia. So if I might, I know a big concern that many residents that we hear from here in Scott County is from of course, the unpaved roads that we've heard about tonight. So I have just a little information that I'll share with you there with that. Now, Mr. Bricky and I spoke earlier in the day just kind of briefly about an issue, and we were talking about funding and so forth, and I kind of made the comment that, you know, any manager is probably going to tell you that he would love to have more money and people and things at a time. I don't know any manager in any business or anything that wouldn't do that. So, you know, I'm sure across the state, my counterparts would all kind of fit in the same category of that. But again, things are set forth by the legislator. And I'm saying that too, not in a means because who knows, Delegate Kilgore I work with from time to time, he may be listening to this right now and say, Alan, why did you throw me under the bus? Well, I'm not meaning to throw Delegate Kilgore under the bus at all. That's not what that, because that's the entire General Assembly that, you know, is a collective that makes policy regarding all of statewide there, and they have reasons for doing that. So the thing with the unpaved road funding, I'm going to get into my report here, and I'm sorry if I'm going to skip around just a little bit from the order that I've got things on here. So each year, to kind of lay the background out for it, we're given an allocation for the 6-year plan update for the program to come to the boards of supervisors in the counties that we serve and get with them to update the 6-year plan, to add roads to it, or to modify funding and so forth if necessary to projects that are in the plan. Now, I can kind of convey a little information to you here that a mile of unpaved road here in within our residency and here in Scott County typically cost us to go in and do the upgrades that we do, which are really kind of minimal, because we typically go in, do some vegetation work, we might change pipes out or add pipes, add stone to the road, and then we pave it. But on average, it's around $250,000 per mile is what it costs us to do a mile of unpaved road for us here. Now, the allocation that we receive is based upon the number of unpaved roads with a traffic count of 50 and above. You have to have a minimum of 50 vehicles a day to qualify for funding and for construction, in a ratio compared to the total amount in the state. Now, I asked the gentleman sitting there in Bill's place tonight if he would throw something up for me. What you see displayed there on the map, all those little blue lines, if you zoomed into them closer, you would see they look like dots now, but those are unpaved roads in the state of Virginia. So those are the roads that are in, I guess you've got zoomed in Scott County now. Yeah, if you zoom back out just a minute, then you'll see that that is all of the unpaved roads that currently exist in the Commonwealth of Virginia. So there's still quite a bit of them throughout. again, I told you I was going to be passing along information to you. Based upon the allocations that I described to you, the 50, or the total number of unpaved miles in comparison to the state and with the formula, Scott County is currently in the top 5 of receiving funding statewide of the total amount of funding that comes per year. If you will turn to the page that looks like this, and what I gave you. It is the summary page. And you will see the number that I'm referring to of that allocation is labeled district grant unpaved. And in fiscal year 24, when we did the allocation for that, it's $995,000. Okay, then 25, 927, and then the out years, as we refer to them, that are projections based upon information at the time that it's developed. This is $1,024,521. So in the 6-year period, it showed $6 million coming in. So what we do with working with you as the board, we will look, and every year the first thing we do is update our estimates based on current cost of the projects and see whether or not the estimate or the allocation needs to be updated, if that makes sense there. So if we've got a road, and let's use an example, I use $250,000 for a mile. And if we had a mile of road in there and we had it at $250,000 as the allocation, but you know, guess what? Labor price has gone up, fuel prices have gone up, the price of asphalt's gone and doubled what it is, then maybe that becomes $300,000. I'm just using all this as an example. Then the first thing that we have to do is take whatever allocations that we get and use to fund the projects that we've got already in the plan. So if we're getting another $1 million added to the plan, then we have to find 100,000 of that comes off the top to go into before we add anything to it. Okay. Or if during the construction something would happen and we allocated 250 and guess what, it came out to 300 at the end, then we have to cover the deficit. All things that you all do as part of your budgets here within the county, that type of thing. So we're approaching the time of year that, well, let me say this first. If you'll see back the other sheets there behind that, those are the roads that are currently listed in the 6-year plan with a segment. So the segment that's in there. Last year, we added, thanks to the endurance of Ms. Pice and her sister, we added a section of Snowflake Road to the plan. It went to the end of the plan. It's shown at the end of this plan in fiscal year 29, given the funding that we have. So we're soon going to be approaching the time of year that we're going to ask each of the boards that we work with for an updated list of roads that they want to consider going on to the plan. And we usually work like locally here in Scott County with Ms. Starnes and pass information back, and she works with you all getting that to you. So soon, within a month or so, month or two, I would expect that from higher authorities than me, I will receive word of what the projected allocations are going to be for, in this term, fiscal year 30. We add the out year all the time. And then I will contact Frida, and I will say, we've got 1 million to add or something like that, and we need candidate projects to go into the plan. So, you know, it's not Mission Impossible, but we've all watched Mission Impossible and say your task if you choose to accept it. So kind of jokingly say that, but you can help us by working to establish for us what projects that you're going to want to add into the plan. Then we will probably look to having a public hearing where we will present that plan to the public in May and look for the plan to be adopted by June. And then it rolls up into the entire statewide plan. That's there, it's part of that. So the way that has worked well in the past, you certainly are a new board and can do whatever you know serves you best, is that we would kind of develop a waiting list that would be your waiting list. Like you would come together and you would talk and say, okay, well, you know, Ms. Dean, you've got 3 roads that you'd like to see on the plan, and you know, Ms. Glover, you've got 3 roads, and you know, Mr. Jeter's got 3 roads, everybody's got 3 roads. Well, then you would prioritize those and put them on a list. Then we would have helped you by getting you an estimate of how much, make sure that it qualifies with the 50 vehicle per day count, and whether it's constructible or not. One of the things safety-wise is that sometimes we do need to do a little more construction than just adding stone and pipes to it to make it safe for like 2 cars to pass. And so that's going to end up being more than the $250,000 as an example. So we would give you the estimate, and based on current, then you would establish like a waiting list, and then each year you've kind of got something to work off of. So then when you complete some projects and you're ready to roll 3 more projects on the next year, you can kind of go to that priority list and pull that information back up and add those right to the plan. Is that kind of making sense? I kind of feel like sometimes I'm the doctor going in and he's telling you about what you're going to have done to your heart. You're sitting there, you know, like that, and then you know, he understands, but then I know sometimes I go, yeah, and then I don't have a clue what he's saying because they talk in their terms. Okay, so Frida, we've talked every year. Is that pretty well captioned that? I don't think we've really got a priority list of too many projects waiting right now, do we?
We don't have any on there right now.
We've rolled all the projects that were on the waiting list up, so it's time to make a new waiting list, is the best way to say it. And I think that it serves a board of supervisors well to have that waiting list and some plan there, and that way then you're kind of not going through the process of every year of trying to come up with everything from scratch. You kind of have a similar to like a comprehensive plan, a direction of how to go forward. So, given that many of you are new, I wanted to kind of go over back to the front sheet, rural rustic project update. And I just wanted to kind of go over and touch on this. I'm not going to read every project by, you know, singly, but what we have here is from year 22 projects that we've done and completed, and in what we did in '23, and going on down the list. So we have that you will see that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, around 5 projects that were completed in 2022. Now, those projects were probably first put on the plan, if I was guessing, all the way back to 2016, when those projects were added to the plan. Then we have 2 projects that we completed, Beeline Road and James Hill Circle. Those were wrapped up in 2023. Then we have projects that we have started on, Newland Hollow Road, Greens Chapel, and Gillenwater Chapel Road, that we worked on as the year was ending, and we've wintered those, and they will be finished in the spring and summer. They will get pavement and be finished up. I think you had one of those, Mr. Skeen, you had questions about that, that's in your area. Then one of the processes that takes us a while is like, you know, it's really kind of a learning experience for many folks, is that environmental affects us in a way that we kind of get shocked by sometimes. And that's for maintenance work and for the construction work. The last number that I was told a few years ago is that VDOT is subject to the review of 26 other agencies for environmental reviews. That includes things such as the Forestry Service, the Games and Inland Fishery, DEQ, the Corps of Engineers. There just is a big list. So we have things that affect us on construction of projects, such as I believe it's referred to as the brown bat or something like that, that they come out when we're in environmental review, like we are with the projects that are listed here, that we're doing, so to speak, our engineering work. Those agencies are coming out and taking a look at those projects. And they may, as an example, come to us and say, okay, well, there's an endangered species of bats on this project. So, yes, VDOT, you can construct this road, but you're only going to be able to cut any trees or remove any brush along that roadway from a time frame of October the 1st through October the 31st. And so we have to build our construction schedule around things like that. We will have things such as just, believe it or not, like a small thumbful of water, thumb-wide stream of water that's going down a ditch line, and that will be checked, and there may be some small species of minnow or something in it. And so we will have to make adjustments for that. So all those things go into affecting us too, as far as the overall cost and the overall timing of the completion of the project. So I guess that's kind of a quick summary for you on the construction part. We try to get these built as quickly as we can, but we have a combination of timing and funding that's based upon what comes from the Code of Virginia, the review of environmental agencies, and then, of course, you know, your input of which ones that you want included into the. So is that my time's up? Okay. All right. Okay. So that's what that's the information I can share for you on that. Again, I know that We're coming back, talk to you more in detail, but does that help a little bit with understanding with the construction process?
I will ask you on that point, you were talking about the April meeting. Do you think it's a good idea to get our representatives together and everybody in the room and kind of talk it out?
Well, I don't think you're going to get all you're not going to get all the environmental people or anything like that or anything, but I mean, if you can, again, I know what you're referring to now, the Virginia General Assembly members.
Yes.
I mean, they certainly, possibly, provide their perspective of where their ability is to, have any influence on it. That's possible. But again, they're two people in 140 member General Assembly, so their interest is going to be for us, and there's going to be other people that's there in, you see the part that's not marked with a lot of unpaved roads, that's going to have a different interest. So they may not want to change funding formulas and so forth like that. But again, I'm just trying to explain to you what's in place now, what we have to work with.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Just to clear my mind, you said there's $6,374,000 that comes down to Scott County over a 6-year period. Okay. Rural Rustic, when we were in Richmond, they told us that there was $25 million across the state, and we were number 2 behind Loudoun County in getting Rural Rustic. How does the $25 million figure into this?
That's the $25 million is what that figure is annually. Okay, so what that's saying is that of that roughly $1 million or so, then of the allocations that are given out to other parts of the state, of that $25 million, you're like second or third.
Right.
On that list.
And is that type of road that you look at when you get Rural Rustic down?
That's the road, as I was mentioning, the unpaved roads that are 50 vehicles and above.
Okay.
That's qualifying roads compared to all the rest of that portion of the ratio of the rest of all those little blue lines that you see there on the map in the rest of the state.
Okay.
You know what the ratio is for Scott County versus state? What percent of the total does Scott County represent as total state?
Well, I just know number-wise, I think that Scott County is like third with the amount of unpaved roads in the state.
I think we're number 2, but I just wonder what percent that is.
I don't know what the percent is in
there any
total
way to get-
mileage. I could probably look that up there or something there with that.
To that point, how many miles of...
We got around 255 here in Scott County.
255.
Mhm.
And this figure on page 3, that is the money that we can use to pay those.
That's what we can use, so you can, like, as I was kind of talking there and indicating, so, again, you see we have different lengths of segments that we put in. Okay, again, that comes from discussion with you as a board. Maybe that we might put a half a mile in Miss Addington's district, not put 7 cents in yours, and then some of it relates to cost that's there with it. And so you can really take the best way to kind of consider the way that it is now is that if you've got $1 million and it's average 2,000 or 250,000 per mile, then that'll build you 4 miles of roadway.
Gotcha. And that'd be about 60 years to pave all of the roads in Scott County, right? Just for an example.
Yeah. But again, that's the way that the formula is set up an allocation, and you go, and there's other areas of the state that, they're doing the same thing. They may get, a small portion, like, as an example, which they have a lot less, but Dixon County's allocation for the amount that they get is, I think, somewhere only around $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 is what theirs is. Lee County gets about 450, 500,000, something like that. That's about what we get for them. Wise County used the coal severance money, and they have virtually no unpaved roads that are there. I will mention, just for what it is now, certainly I understand and respect that you all have difficult budgets here. You've got to fund, the sheriff's budget, and you've got to fund rescue squads and school budgets and all that kind of thing. But an option that there is with the funding that's out there is what's called the revenue sharing program. That's a dollar for dollar match. So if you wanted to put into the program and build another 4 miles example, if the county had the means of coming up with 500,000 and applied for that, and if approved, because you're competing statewide, then that would be $500,000 match, and that would be like another $1 million on top. But you can't use the funding that's in this budget in order to be able to use it as a matching number. Okay.
The 6-year plan, you're only guaranteed 1 year at a time, right?
All that is a lock is the 1 year. The out years are projections. They will change a little bit, but unless you have very hard times, then it's usually pretty close to that.
Is that guaranteeing the next 5 years will get funded?
As long...
Is there any interruption in years without funding?
No, in the experience I've had, and this has been like in the late 2000 first decade, there was funding shortages that occurred, and so there was some time that went by where there was no roads added to the plan, and just what was in the plan was all that was funded, because those out years were zero. But those are in extremely difficult economic times whenever that's happened.
So you're saying if you're in the 6th year, that means over the next 5 years, those 5 projects or 5 years will be funded and completed?
Well, I can tell you, because you're asking me a question to kind of predict on there.
Does that ever happen? Or
well, that's what I was saying. And whenever there was some very severe economic problems for the Commonwealth, then there were projects that were on the plan that had to be frozen, and they probably didn't get billed till 5 or 6 years later than planned, because there was no money. The projection, they were put in based on a projection of, say, example of $1 million, but economic times hit hard, and so that allocation for that year was actually zero. No projects were added, but no projects were, moved forward. And so once in fact, when I first came back I worked in Charlottesville before in this same role, and when I came back in 2010, we were just starting to get funding back to move projects back along. Now, the other thing that I'll say about this is that our funding that funds VDOT is based upon fuel taxes, titling fees, and things of that nature. And our Code of Virginia also requires that maintenance